I am Brainiac, an android and collector of knowledge and civilizations. But collecting cities has lost its fulfillment. I have decided to expand my collection.
Okay, Lego Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, Gamescom. What are we seeing here on the business?
So, with LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, we wanted to show what this means. We knew that Beyond Gotham, we're going to a much wider universe. We're going outside of just Gotham. We're going into space. So what we're showing here is we're showing a brand new level. We're going to Odin, which is one of the Lantern planets, the Blue Lantern planet. So we're getting to show Odin as a kind of the story level, and this is somewhere we get to revisit as one of our hub locations as well. There's going to be a free roaming version of Odin where you can run around the planet itself. And we're also showing brand new characters. So with over 150 playable characters, we really kind of want to go to town with that. We've got people on the show like Doomsday, we've got Black Manta, we've got one of the fan favourites, Beast Boy. So he's going to have a really big one that a lot of people are excited about. So we wanted to show Beast Boy all of his abilities, all of his transformations that he's got in the game. Just kind of really showing some of the cool new content we've got on display.
Saying about the transformations, we were watching a gameplay demo actually just before we came in here, and certainly is that transformation aspect to a lot of the characters an important component of the gameplay?
Yeah, very much so. When we were we're going back to the kind of Batman and the DC universe, and there were some things that we thought, you know what, we should have added this last time. We add this time and really bring it to life, really kind of bring these characters to kind of feeling different. So when we've got people like Shazam, and at a button press you can instantly shouts the magic word, turns into Billy Batson. Stuff like that's really cool. And we love the reaction when people get to play the games and they almost find them out as secrets. So you're running around as Superman and boom, he turns into Clark Kent, so he flies off and Clark Kent arrives, and then you're like, oh, that's really funny. And then to turn him back, you press it again, a phone box appears, Clark Kent jumps in, Superman jumps out. And that kind of level, I mean, from an abilities point of view, yeah, it gives you the ability to kind of switch between the two characters, but it's really there just kind of secrets and fun for people to explore, and just fun for the DC fans as well. They'll know where that comes from.
I was going to ask that with Billy, though. Surely that poor boy's defenseless if that happens.
You'll be surprised. Minifigs kind of have an array of abilities on their own, so you get to run around as Billy, and he can be punching various kind of enemies, so you get to fight the Reach with him, and it's some of the fun and free play. When you add characters, you don't, with the Lego game, we don't have to kind of sit with the fact that they would be defenseless and kind of victims, if you will. So we've included people like Adam West in the game. You can run around as Adam West punching enemies, and he's just as tough as everyone else. It's fantastic.
What does he look like in game? Is he like Sugget and Boog? I mean, are we talking like he's in his Cape Crusader costume or what?
Fantastically, we get to do both. So you get to see Adam West in his suit, being very Adam West. But then we also get to do 1960s Batman. So we've got 1960s content in the game. And that was something we've kind of toyed with in the past and thought, you know what, this is the perfect time to do it. We think it would be a great addition. So there's a 1960s level you get to play. There's the 60s Batmobile. It's all narrated by Adam West. So he's running around. And it's got all the abilities and things that you'd expect. So he's got things like thwack and pow and all the stings when you're punching enemies. But also he has kind of some a bit ridiculous abilities, if you will. One of the things he can do is he can pull his cape above his face, and that's enough to turn him invisible, because it's very much like the 60s show. He can run around with a giant bomb above his head, which...
I was going to ask whether that was in a... There's never any good time to get rid of a bomb.
Yeah, exactly. So he runs around with that. It never explodes until you throw it. So kind of very much in keeping with the 60s lore, but just having a lot of fun with it.
You mentioned there about there were things that obviously included in this game you couldn't before, and now with 3 Batman games in the bag now, is that a case of, with the sequel and certainly with this one as well, where you guys have a whiteboard of, right, stuff we couldn't get round to doing or stuff we wanted to do, let's put that forward to the next project?
Yeah, I think it was. So we were looking at kind of when we did the first Lego Batman game, we knew it was Batman Heroes and Villains, it was Arkham, it was that kind of world, that kind of Batman experience. Batman 2, we went to Gotham. We then added the Justice League. We started to tease these characters. We knew from a story perspective that's what we wanted to tell, and then we kind of teased Brainiac at the end of Batman 2. Batman 3 then opens the door for us to go, right, we can do the wider DC universe now. Let's include those Justice League characters, but let's go big. Let's include the lanterns. So we've got all the various coloured lanterns, the different planets, but then also the kind of wider wacky content as well. With over 150 characters, it means we get to do things like Batmite. We get to do Bat-Cow, which actually is a character in the fiction, and just kind of really have a lot of fun with it. Stuff that would have been kind of a bit tricky for people if they were new to Batman and Lego Batman was their first experience. They might not know what was going on, but now we get to introduce it. We kind of get to have a lot of fun with this world and just include all the wacky stuff the designers have kind of been toying with for so long and really digging into the fiction.
Personal request from me, is Batwoman on it?
We can only announce the characters we've got so far, but like I said, with over 150 characters, we were trying to hit all the kind of the key ones that people want to see, and all the wacky ones.
Well, with that, I mean, you guys have done that many tie-in games now. You've got that pedigree of treating the franchises respectfully, and so does that come to a point now with DC where effectively they just open up their entire universe to you and go free to pick what you want?
Yeah, very much so. We've kind of always had a fantastic relationship with DC and also with Lego. And we sit there going, okay, what can we include? And DC have been fantastic because we're not stuck within one kind of time set. We're not just New 52 content. We get to go, that's a cool version of the character of New 52, but let's go back. We want these classics as well, and we want 60s content. And we're not set with just being one thing. We get to pick and mix. And it's almost like how kids play with Lego. They kind of mix and match everything. They don't care if two characters come from two different story arcs and two different timelines, and as a result we get to do that in the game. So it's just been an absolute privilege to work with them again, and the wider DC universe, they've been great because not only have we been going, we'd love to include these characters, they'll also go, oh great, have you thought about these people? And it's just great that we get to kind of have that rapport and bounce suggestions off each other.
It says there a whiteboard somewhere in the studio with potential future ideas, and somewhere it says Lego, DC versus Marvel.
That would be interesting. I mean, it's one of these things that as a studio, we've got such huge fans of all the franchises. So when we're doing Lego Batman 3, we're back into the DC universe. The DC fans are all coming out of the woodwork, and we have to include this, we have to include that. So we're kind of almost a little short-sighted as a studio. We just totally focused on making this the best possible game, that future projects are kind of like just almost like an afterthought. We're like, let's make this the biggest and best thing we can. So
listen, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Cool, no worries, thanks very much.
Wouldn't it be cool to carry Earth around in your pocket?
Excellent. Now join the others. Give up! My success is inevitable.